Hello there, I'm Jeremy.
I'm Zoe.
And we are working together on a VR game.
Yes.
And we're planning to do it in 3 months. Can we do that?
Yeah, we have a ton of experience, like, dreaming and thinking, and yeah, actually we're complete noobs. We're just excited to take this on as like a crazy challenge. I'm a college student. I've always been super artistic, but I decided to go into computer science to sort of fill that void to be able to make games, actually.
I work at this awesome company called Coda, and just had a baby. They have this awesome paternity policy, so I get to spend 3 months with my family. I like to just learn stuff, and so decided like this is something that I've always wanted to do. I got a little bit of a taste of it. I had my own company for about 8 years called Tappity, building mobile apps, and there is this game that kind of infamously shut itself down at its peak of popularity, and we were this 8-person team. I was like, okay, let's build a Flappy Bird clone in 1 week, and we actually did it. Of course, it was a very simple game. I got like 20,000 downloads, never made any money, but like I got the kind of the bug. I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. I want to do this again, and so this is my opportunity to kind of explore this some more and do it again. So yeah, what is this game that we're working on? And maybe as we describe the game and kind of the different aspects of it, we'll also kind of go through some of the criteria that we were kind of thinking about in terms of, what makes a good game and a good game idea. And so maybe we'll kind of go through those. One of the things is that it needs to be really explainable. So actually we'll test this right now. To make something explainable, I always try to have like one line. Can I explain it in one line? And is that one line compelling to people? Okay, so our one line that we came up with for this game is build and defend your growing citadel from hordes of foul creatures with immersive physics-based VR combat. You tell us in the comments, is that something interesting to you?
And Jer will do that voice in the trailer, of course.
Of course. But yeah, we wanted something that is like very explainable. Okay, this is something that, okay, it's fantasy. It's I'm gonna be slaying orcs. I'm going to be using a bow and arrow, and I'm gonna be building. So it's kind of like a tower defense type game. Yeah. But in VR, it's actually one of the first tower defense VR games.
We got really excited about this idea of like building something and then like being able to walk around it, but then also defending it from like bad guys, where you really feel when something is destroyed, and that's sort of what sucked us into this idea.
In tower defense games, you're trying to defend a city, but like, why do you care about the city? We feel like in VR, we can kind of do something interesting because you can kind of build your city in VR, see it come to life.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of then mixing it with the kind of first person where you actually get to be in that battle yourself, not just like set up towers and stuff, but actually defend it yourself against the oncoming hordes of orcs and goblins and all kinds of foul creatures. The thing that kind of started it for me was like, I just want to be Legolas. That's honestly, VR is the kind of thing where you can just give people experiences where like they get to be that thing.
Yeah.
Right. So we're really excited about that. Okay. So that was kind of the first thing is it should be explainable. The second thing is it needs to have a market. Like what's kind of the obvious appeal? You're not bending over backwards all the time to have to like explain the value. Okay, this is why this game is going to be so great.
Yeah.
There's this kind of a market for it. So for us, for our game, we think that there is a lot of market for, number one, fantasy games. A lot of people, imagine themselves being Legolas. I'm guessing I'm not the only one, right? Obviously there's lots of fantasy games, but you combine that into VR, you combine that with tower defense, and where you're kind of building your city and also playing in the action. Each of those angles, there's different audiences that are interested in it. Some are going to be interested in it for the building aspect, building up your city. Some are going to be more interested for the action part where you're actually, fighting the orcs and stuff. And we think we can blend them in an interesting way to kind of have a pretty mass appeal for this package.
Yeah.
So the next one is kind of uniqueness. I think there's like several different levers. There's probably many others that I'm not thinking of, but genre. So I can, have maybe a mix of genres. I mean, maybe you've got, tower defense, but for us, we're going to mix it with kind of first person as well. So you're not just kind of looking down on your thing being defended. You actually could be part of the action. Yeah. Mechanics, adding unique mechanics to the game, or maybe improving on proven mechanics. Aesthetics, the fidelity of the graphics. Is it kind of simplified look? Is it a really hyper realistic? The music of the game, the sounds, the physics, the pace, how the game feels. This can kind of differentiate your game from other games. And for us, we think that there are games on the market that are kind of like bow and arrow games, but we think that kind of the combination of kind of really nice graphics, a better graphic fidelity, and kind of really good physics. Actually, that's an area we're going to focus on. When you hit an orc, they're actually going to like react in the right way, where you actually felt like that it connected with the arrow.
Our goal is for it to be satisfying.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're going to be gearing the experience towards, like satisfying, defending your city, feeling the hits, you know, in a lot of different ways.
Right. And then there's content, just the amount of content in a game. Like some games are just very light. And then you can differentiate by having more content. The story of the game, that's not probably an area we're going to be super focused on in this game. But some are very story driven, and that's a great way to be unique. Platform, of course, there might be lots of PC games that are a particular game, but if it's not on VR yet, then that's an opportunity. There's a lot of opportunities in VR because it's a new platform, and there's not only, kind of old experiences that you can bring into VR and kind of the low-hanging fruit, but there's also just a lot of new things you can do because it's lots of new sensors and new experiences you can create.
It's such a untapped market, and there's just so much potential. We felt like there's a reason why there's not a lot of games on VR yet, and there's certain challenges that come with that, and that's part of why we want to document this, because we're looking around wanting to see these resources. Basically, we want to figure out if this game is doable, especially in our time frame. I think one thing that's been really surprising for me is I always had this concept before where I would want to make a game, but then I would think that I had to make everything. I would have to build everything from scratch. That creates this huge block between getting the idea for the game and actually seeing real progress in the game itself. And so one thing that has been super fun this time is we're just totally fine with, for now, just pulling things from the internet and, taking what we can, and people have made awesome stuff that we're just able to use. I mean, we might actually replace it later, maybe some things, maybe all of it, but because we're removing that block, we can see progress really fast, and that gives us a much better idea on how doable this thing really is. It also helps us to launch into it and see what's fun in the actual gameplay, see what we need to change in the gameplay before we really get too caught up in what it looks like, what it all these other things that we could get caught up in.
In a lot of industries, not everything is custom, right? I mean,
you don't
you
need to
reuse
have
movie sets, right? You there's things that you can you don't need to reinvent the wheel for every single thing that you do. This actually kind of came into why we're building this game instead of other games. Is there's a lot of pieces of this game that we can just grab, right? And we can just put them in. We don't have to build them ourselves.
We want our game to be unique on the grounds of the actual gameplay.
We can individualize the thing that we really excel at, and we think that we can really add. But there's certain things that we don't need to reinvent, and so we can just pull them in. And so because of that, we've been able to actually prototype really quickly, and we've only been at this a little over a week. And I guess that's probably a good segue into progress. Maybe what we've actually gotten done so far. Our goal is as quickly as possible get all some of those core pieces in, so that we kind of understand what is this game really going to end up being? We've never played with Unreal Engine before. I played with Unity a bit. I think you played with Unity a bit before. But we decided to do this Unreal because graphics were pretty important. We'll maybe do an episode on why we chose Unreal. So we've been spending some time just learning Unreal, learning even just how some of these kind of basic 3D game concepts work, physics, collisions, how things in the world, textures, animations, all that kind of stuff. The best way I learn is just by, not just kind of reading the book, but like having a goal in mind. And so we basically have this MVP in mind of what we want to build. Right. And we've been starting to kind of pull together all the elements and doing tutorials and things along the way to get us there. And so basically right now we have a game that you can put on your headset. There's a scene. You can shoot a bow and arrow at orcs that are coming at you. Lots of terrible stuff right now, but we're going to get to something playable hopefully pretty soon.
We're just kind of finding what works and finding what doesn't work really quickly. And we're trying to keep ourselves inspired. I've been making a little bit of concept art here and there. I made a tiny little tune so that we can actually hear a little custom music, and it's been super fun.
We don't want to just learn how to build a game. We want to learn, at least start to learn how to build a successful game. And one of the things that you hear over and over again, and I've been watching tons of YouTube videos, you need to just kind of start marketing from the beginning. So we are spending some time on that as well, just kind of from the get-go, including this video. If you want to follow along the process, subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much for watching our first video. We hope to get better over time. Make sure to join our Discord where you can just chat with us. The link is in the description. Love to meet you.